Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone, and I'm happy to have you here this evening to share with you uh, our last Africa TESOL weekly discussion of this first series. Today we have invited three important affiliates. And the first one is Kusi Kwame from Sinelta. Sinelta is the Association of English Teachers of Côte d'Ivoire. And the next representative is Lai Kaba. Lai Kaba will represent Guinea English Teachers Club. And the third one is Mispa Mwambi from Kamelta, Cameroon. Welcome you all. As you all know, this is our last discussion today, and it will be based mainly on online learning and disability students. First of all, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Muyambi to introduce his association. Yes, Mr. You have the floor. Mr. You have the floor. Hello?
Mispa, the mic is muted.
Mispa? Hello, Mr. Mispa?
Yes, can you?
Hello? Yes, you have the floor. Mispa Muyambi, could you introduce yourself, please? Hello? Hello? Okay, so as I was saying.
Hello?
Yes, you have the floor, Mrs. Mispa. Could you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Okay, I'm Miss Pamwa from Cameroon. Presently, I'm talking from Bamenda. Camelta, as the acronym we say, Cameroon English Language Teachers Association. It's an association in the country that gathers English language teachers and literature teachers for their continuous professional development.
Okay.
Yeah.
So welcome to this debate. And
Thank you.
Could you please tell me how you managing this context of COVID-19?
In my country, we are managing the teaching of English language during this period. We do it on radio, on television. Some do it on their WhatsApp group, and others on Zoom, like what we are doing now. You know, to put the students focus since they have an examination to write. So most of the lessons are taught through radio. For example, like in where I am, I'm based in Bamenda. We do it through the national station and some of the private stations too. They do the teaching online through radio. Then the national station too, CRTV, that's Cameroon Radio Television. They do it online, both on TV and on the radio station.
Oh, great. So happy to hear that. And what about the online learning at your level there? Are you having some teaching through online?
Yes, we are having teaching through online. For example, if they do presentation on the radio, some of the teachers will give their students their WhatsApp. They have their WhatsApp group that they have created. So they use this as a means to get feedback, and to discuss more on what they have learned from the presentation they did online. And they also do uh, Zoom and other e-learning process that they use in teaching the students. But there is a challenge. For example, where I am, you will have this problem of power failure. Then
Mhm.
access to this e-learning materials.
Yeah.
This is mostly done in big towns or big cities, like in Bamenda. But if you want to take a critical look at it, when you go deep into the suburb, it will be difficult for people who are living there to follow up, because maybe they don't even have electricity there, or they don't have this means of, even radio. Some of the students, I don't think they have radios in their home. With the I'm from the one of the regions that is facing the socio-political crisis, and there have been a lot of displacement. So it is difficult. I can't really tell you that this e-learning process is really going on smoothly in the area where I am in my country. But I believe we are trying our best to meet up with the situation, because here we don't have only the COVID-19, we also have the socio-political crisis that is pulling us back, and it's difficult for us around this area.
Okay, good. So apart from those difficulties you have just enumerated, could
Yes.
you please share with us, um, do you have any issues with special students? I mean by here, those students with disabilities, visually impaired students. How do you cope with those type of students in this context of COVID-19?
Yes, we have special students of who have disability, like the blind, you know. During this period, I think they too also follow from the radio presentation. I know it will be difficult for some of them to follow through WhatsApp. They follow through the radio presentation.
Okay.
I think it was last week I heard an interview that was given to some of their tutors. They also prepare material for these students and do their presentations online on radio.
And what about those special students who cannot hear? How do you deal with those type of disabilities?
Mm, for now, I've not heard anything really about such students, especially in my area. I don't know where, maybe somewhere around the country they have special cases and how they could attend to them. But I believe since they have their own institutions of learning, maybe these institutions have provided a means for them to follow up during this period, because I don't think they will leave them behind. Because they too have a target as the other student, as the normal students. So these institutions, I think they have provided a means for them that in a way that they can follow up their learning during this period.
And someone is asking you, I'm still with you, Miss Pam Wambi. One of the participants would like to know
Miss,
how many of these students, special students, have access to your program, the different programs you talking about.
I can't really give you the statistic because I don't have it, but I know have the those who have the means and they have the means of having the opportunity. I think they learn through that means, and you know they learn through that means. I can't really give you the statistic because I haven't done any research on such on a particular case.
Okay, so then you mean you cannot talk about this issue now?
Yeah, I cannot talk about the issue now on those special cases of such people during this period.
Um, okay, now tell me, could you please, now let's turn to those English skills, speaking, listening, reading and writing, and how do you approach these skills today on online learning? Let's take skill by skill. When you take the speaking skill, how do you deal with this type of skill uh, through online teaching and learning?
Like the speaking skill, you prepare a lesson that has to do with speaking.
Yeah, could you elaborate more on this? How do you prepare this type of lesson?
For example, you you come up with uh, a material that you have to do with that you have to use in this lesson. You prepare the full lesson and you make it to be interactive. You do it, maybe you can do it with your colleague or with some of the regional inspectors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you want to teach,
Hello,
I would like you, yes.
yeah, sorry. I have Ray here on the phone. We have technical difficulty getting him back, and he would like to start with your first question about introducing his association.
Okay, Ray, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fabian. Raymond Kwasi from Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan, and the national president of CINELTA, which is the Cote d'Ivoire National English Language Teachers Association, which is, the merger of the 4 former English Teachers Association in our country. And you know that in the past, there was only one association, then after 3 other associations got created, and then our different partners in the Ministry of National Education advised us to come together as one association, and we did it in March 2018. And from that period up to now, we've been, doing great jobs, connecting with African Sister Association, and we've been having some chapters up country, and today we are we have 800 teachers who are fully members of our association, and we have we cover 20 regions of the country, and we were supposed to organize Africa TESOL here in Abidjan in August. Unfortunately, because of the this sickness, which is locking down everybody at the international level, we are being obliged to postpone it for next year. So for the time being, this is what I can say, and thank you so much.
Okay, now what about
Any other question?
your management with, I'll give the floor to,
Hello?
yes, amen.
Yes,
Amen.
Flavian, you can ask him the follow-up question.
Okay, Mr. Ray, could you please tell me how you managing students with disabilities in your context there?
Hello, Raymond, did you hear the question? I will try to get him back online, so you carry on with your participant there, Flavian.
Okay, so Miss Pam Wambi, you are lucky then, eh? You are lucky because the floor is yours again. So we were talking of the teaching of speaking, and I wonder how you manage with your students. I mean, teaching speaking to students through online. How do you, could you be more specific and share with the participant ideas on speaking, teaching through online?
Okay. For example, teaching speaking. If you want to a lesson on let me say pronunciation, you can teach speaking through pronunciation. You know, you prepare your lesson, then I would prefer it interactive. I will not go alone online to do it because it will not really give the focus, you know. Or I'll prepare a material that that will that I, the teacher, will we have to do the speaking over and over for the students, since it's a kind of a one-sided class. You don't have the student in front of you. You want them to know something about speaking. You know, it can be in a form. Let me say I can use a debate, and I take my colleague, or I can use a lesson on giving description, directions to places, you know. I take my colleague and I prepare a lesson on that. Then we do the presentation together.
Okay, and how do you evaluate the speaking?
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Sorry. Yes.
Yes. How do you, in this context, how do you evaluate then the speaking through online?
Mm. Through online, I know it will be pretty challenge because the student giving them another opportunity for us to discuss online, speaking on what to prepare a debate or a dialogue and present it.
Okay, there is an issue, Miss Parr. There is a comment here.
Yeah.
One of the participants is saying that he can understand how pronunciation can be taught through WhatsApp, but not sure for him this is possible to teach speaking as a skill with the limited platform teachers have. Teachers might speak, but that is not teaching speaking. What do you think?
teachers might speak, but that is not teaching speaking.
Yeah.
And I will agree with him because when teaching a particular lesson, you have to integrate the 4 skills. So that is why I said it is kind of difficult because it is one-sided. Since you don't have the students in front of you, so I said to make the lesson active as if the students are there, you need somebody that you can do the lesson together.
Flavian,
Yes.
I have Ray
And then you
on the line.
integrate all the other skills in the
Yes.
lesson.
Yes. Amen.
Yes, I have Ray on the line here again. And your question to him again?
Yes. Mr. Ray, my question is this: how are you dealing with special students in your Côte d'Ivoire? I mean, in your context there.
Well, thank you, Dr. Flavien. In our, specific context in Cote d'Ivoire, during this lockdown period, we couldn't have, some specific ways of dealing with the student with disabilities because everything we did was in accordance with the Ministry of National Education, and the National Education Act for the antenna of pedagogy, the teachers to propose some lessons, and some teachers were also, targeted to teach those lessons, and those lessons were recorded with an interpreter, somebody, gesture, to explain it to the student with, particular disability. But for the other student with disabilities, there was no specific, way of dealing with them. All the lessons were taught through the national TV channel and on the radio and even Facebook, but they were the same thing, teachers in classrooms, teaching, and the lesson was recorded, and this was shown on the national TV. So there was no particular, way of dealing with students with disability during this period, unfortunately.
Okay. And teaching speaking. How are you teaching speaking nowadays in COVID-19?
Right.
Mr. Ray?
How we teach, like I was saying, it was like a one-man show, a teacher presenting a lesson as if students were around, explaining the lessons with gestures, with, for example, for teachers of biology with experiments, and but students were not even around to ask a question. But it's through Synerta we have a specific, for example, a specific way of doing it, because we have a platform for the students of Cote d'Ivoire, which is called ELC, Young English Language Learners of Cote d'Ivoire. And on these WhatsApp platforms, lessons were sent to the student. Some teachers even recorded their voices, while teaching the lessons. And then, some questions were asked to the student. We record a voice, we record a question. We ask the student to answer, and that's the way we proceed. Within our national, within our association, but on national plan or the national level, this was not done. So teaching, speaking was a bit difficult.
All right. Good. And what about the other skills? listening, writing, and reading.
Yeah, for reading, for example, on TV, text was shown. Teacher will read the text, and we give a certain amount of minutes was given to the student who were supposed to be watching, this teaching process at home, to read the text, but we can't, testify whether they were reading or not. So it was a bit, embarrassing, but it was a situation.
All right.
If not during almost, yeah, okay.
Hello?
Yeah, hello, yes.
Yeah, you have the floor. Hello?
You have a question? Yeah, hello, yes, I hear you properly.
Yeah,
I hear, yeah.
you finish. Is it what you mean? Okay. Now, in terms of yes, you said that teaching reading, you cannot check adequately how students are dealing with the test. And okay, and in terms of questioning, how do you proceed and how do you use critical thinking? I would say verbs to really check. Uh, I mean, if your learners are reading, have understood the test or not.
We couldn't check because, like I was saying, it was a teaching process, recorded in a classroom and then shown in the national TV. So students were invited at home because there was a given period from 9 to 11, for example, each day to be sitting at home in front of the TV, sit and watch, the teacher, for example, if it was a teacher of English, it would be, having a text, present the text, or read the text, a short text, ask some, explain a bit, and ask some questions, and invite the students, who are following to read the text at home, to answer the question, but there was no feedback. So nobody could know whether the students, understood or did the exercise or answer the questions. Nothing, could be, nothing of this, this process could be checked. We couldn't check anything because we couldn't have any assessment to know whether they did it. The students were even at home. So it was complicated. There was no possibility for them to send in the answers, so very complicated. But in
Yes.
regions where we have some chapters, for example, our representative, the representative of Sinelta, and the teachers from these regions sometimes meet, and invite some few students to come and, do the lesson like as if it was a normal session. But, remote teaching was a bit complicated because many students were in villages and small towns where they cannot have access to internet, and it was difficult for them even to have television access, and it wasn't easy at all.
Okay, now, Mr. Ray, that love we have toward our students in face-to-face situation class compared to online teaching today, is it the same thing?
No. There is a big difference because you know that in our African country, we are not used with this new way of teaching, I mean, online teaching or even e-learning and all those kind of things. We can probably say that only some students in big cities like Abidjan, the capital, the economic capital city, where all the families have some, computers, many families have some computers, those students can follow the new way of teaching, and sometimes using WhatsApp. But most of the the students don't have access unless they go on Facebook. But Facebook is online, and the teacher is not present, and sometimes we just send some exercises, online, and they do it. But this is with limited number of students, not all the students, And face-to-face teaching is what most of the teachers know, and what most of the students know and practice. And when it happened that teachers were asked to prepare lessons and teach it online, it was a bit complicated because teachers were not used to that. It's a new thing, it's something new that they are discovering. So this is what I can say.
So do you mean that loving the love we have toward our students is decreasing or increasing?
Sorry?
Do you mean that since we are no more having face-to-face class situation, that love we nourish toward our student is decreasing or increasing?
I would say it's decreasing a little bit because
Why?
When students are around, the teacher will show a kind of interaction, face-to-face interaction, and you see the student, and then you can show love. You can appreciate, you can do many things, and but with online teaching, a student don't see you, you don't see them, you just post something. It's a bit different. So I won't say there is no love at all, but I would say it's decreasing a little bit.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Ray. So now,
Yes.
Getting connected every time, okay, implies using money, buying some data, and to have access to connection. And as a teacher, how do you manage this?
Wow, it's what I was saying. It's a little bit complicated, but because in our context, except the teachers who are in big cities, in big cities, those who are in remote places, most of the time don't have computers, and they don't even have access to internet. Is not easy. It's a bit costly, and even the teachers need training as far as using the online materials are concerned. For example, right away I was connected, but I did a manipulation and I got cut. It means that many teachers have the same issue, and today our association is targeting this, and with the British Council to train many teachers as far as using technology is concerned, using computer, using all the data, the tools you were talking about. So it's not easy, and like I was saying, the mobile companies that provide access to internet, for the time being, it's a bit expensive, And being connected 1 hour, 2 hours need a lot of money, and it's only the teacher who should. In our different schools, we don't have access, to a system of internet connection. Sometimes we have multimedia rooms, but those rooms are for the students, and it's this, specific arrangement between the schools and mobile companies, and for specific purposes, not for, all the use, So
Okay,
teachers
yeah.
can be connected, but it's not easy. It's a bit expensive.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ray.
We are trying.
I'll now turn back to Ms. Pa.
Sorry?
Ms. Pa.
Okay.
Yes, I would like now turn back to Ms. Pa. Hello, Ms. Pa. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, are you getting me? Are you getting me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we were talking about love toward our students. Let's compare that love we have toward our students in face-to-face situation and to online situation. What do you think? Do we still have the same degree of love?
Mm, that one is not really. I can't say that because doing it online is different from doing it face to face. Meeting your students, talk to them, because there you don't see them. You can identify their problems. By doing it face to face, you can see them and identify their problems and share with them immediately. So I think it's difficult to share that love online, like you're doing it face to face with the students.
Now, do you have any strategies to use so to keep that same degree of love we have to our students in face-to-face situation?
Mm,
Any
No,
strategy?
I don't really have any, but
Yes.
I don't really have any, but to handle this situation, I will still say it's difficult. You are talking to people that you don't see, so it will be difficult for you to
Okay,
interact and share with them.
maybe let's go back to the concept of love. How do you define love? Because someone was saying here that if love is blind, then it will for sure increase online. What do you think?
Mm, Yeah, you can still love somebody without seeing the person, but seeing the person and loving the person goes more than when you don't see the person. I believe so. You can do it online, but that intimate feeling, I don't think it will be there. But when you see the person face to face, I think that intimate feeling, that passion will be there more than when you don't see the person.
Okay, so you mean that love increases when you see face to face, I mean the person.
Yes.
So love is no more blind, eh?
ah, Literally, say love is blindness, but I don't think it is really blindness because you can't close your eyes and love something that you don't see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go back to our participants. We have today many participants listening to our program, and it is time for them to ask their question. Yes, you have the floor if you feel like asking uh, any question. Just raise your hand and you're gonna have the floor.
You were asking to know how we can show love, during online teaching.
Yep,
In our
yes.
context here, teachers use kind words. For example, my beloved student, my dear student, as if they were around, and show some, a smiling face. And, when students see that and they hear those kind of words, even if the teacher is not around, they feel, that affection. So, they feel happy and they notice that the teacher is showing love. Sometimes in face-to-face teaching context, even teachers don't use some teachers don't use those kind of words. Those kind of words, I mean. But during this context, sometimes I watch the TV, I follow all those programs, and I notice that, teachers were like obliged to use kind words, in order to probably attract the attention of the student and show affection to those students. So in our context, this is what I noticed.
Okay, yes, Abigail?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I don't have I don't have a question as such. I just wanted to bring out a point.
Okay.
To make a point, yeah. We should take the circumstances of this online learning are different in that we already know our students, and the so-called love between those students already exists. So during the online classes, if at all we do have any, it's just a continuation of the relationship that we had built earlier during the previous terms. So if we were calling them by their names and maybe giving them a smile in class, I think we just keep on doing same. We're not creating a new sort of kind of relationship during the online lessons. It's just a continuation of the feelings that or the relationship that we had with those students during the face-to-face.
Okay, thank you, Abigail. And any other
Like of love, be a smile, for instance.
Basam, you have the floor. Basam, you have the floor. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, we getting you. Hello? Okay. Yes. Any other participant to take the floor? It is time for you to raise issues so we discuss about what are your worries during this online teaching period. Yes. Issa, you have the floor.
Okay, well, thank you. I am Issa Ouattara from Burkina Faso. I think that this COVID-19 has reminded us Africans that we still have a long way to go.
Okay.
We are not ready yet. And then we have to, we have to work hard and try to develop technologies in Africa. So I think when I see people talking, this is what comes to my mind. We are not ready. So it means that, we must get the real support from the government in terms of training, online teaching. It means that after this COVID-19, we need to keep up trying to find ways to develop our strategies to get our students and even the teachers trained to be connected, because we don't know when we're gonna have another, another COVID or another trouble in Africa. So this is real. This is really the opportunity to grasp, to know that we are not ready. And we have to prepare for other situations. This is my contribution.
You're welcome, sir. I just want to tell you that Issa Ouattara is the current president of BETA. BETA is Burkina Faso English Teachers Association. Yes, any other participant?
Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, I was, I share the view of Issa from Burkina Faso because recently I was on Facebook and I, came across a post from Express Publishing saying, don't come to school with a mobile phone. And during this COVID period, they say, use your mobile phone, to learn lessons. Right. It was the same thing in Abidjan here, in Cote d'Ivoire, because it's strictly forbidden to use a telephone in our schools. Even when you create a WhatsApp platform with your students so that you could share, lessons, you could share information. Some parents will be complaining, why are you giving some assignment on WhatsApp, whereas the children don't have access to the mobile phone? So today, everybody is aware that we need a mobile phone, we need technology, we need online courses. And as I was saying, many teachers are not trained for that. Only offline is, accessible, it's possible, but online is very rare and difficult. So we are lagging far back, I think, in our African countries, and I believe we have to, we have to start using those new technologies, those new tools, and really involve them in our daily teaching if we want to go, far away.
All right. So in some schools, in some countries, mobile phones are not permitted, and it poses another problem. And what do you think? Do you have the same realities in your countries? And how are you dealing with this? Dear participant, you have the floor. Yes. Yes, His Excellency, you have the floor. Yes, Dr. Kusha, you have the floor.
That's better. Is it me you were referring to before? Sorry. Two quick observations. I've been listening to the whole idea about love for our students, and this is a very personal perspective. I do not think that teachers have a duty to love their students. It's our duty to care for, to empathize with our students, and to support them as much as we can, and not necessarily to love them. And that's because of my own conceptualization of love. And I think that in Africa, what we have seen now is, in one hand, governments, ministries of education, doing very little to support education at this time, and literally abandoning everything to teachers. And on the other hand, I'm seeing teachers using all the resources available to them with no support, no training, no means. Teachers have to teach on WhatsApp, They don't have money they have to pay for expensive broadband just so that they can have WhatsApp available all the time and be able to teach their students. What more love can we show for our students than what our teachers are doing now? So I was baffled by the answers that teachers love their students less now. And I think that the work that teachers are doing, the extent to which my colleagues in Africa are going to make learning possible for their students shows that teachers more than ever before love their students far more than those ministry officials whose responsibility it is to support them. Now, talking about technology, and that would be my last point, technology does not teach. Human beings teach. And we have a condition. I am not a prophet of doom, but I'm trying to be very realistic. I agree that there have been attitudes that are counterproductive to mobile learning, for example. There's a lot of mobile coverage in Africa at the moment, and lots of people have access to mobile phones, but unfortunately we have continued to ban mobile phones from the classroom. And now it's beginning to pose a problem. But in reality, can we say that 20% of our populations in our countries have access to mobile technology? Can we say that 20% of the people in our country can afford a telephone that would have WhatsApp and all of that? Maybe 20, maybe 10, maybe 30. So whatever happens, we would still have 70% of our population without access to technology. And I do not think now that the Africa I know, especially sub-Saharan Africa, will be able to afford that. So I think the whole idea of focusing a lot on technology is like trying to buy a limousine when you can't afford a bicycle. And we need to be realistic. So what African teachers need to be thinking now, and I hope ministry officials as well, is how do we make education the responsibility, especially basic education, the responsibility of communities, so that in times like these, local communities can support learning? Why are we using languages that bar our children, bar parents from access to the knowledge that we share with their children? Why can my grandfather not understand what I'm learning in school so that he can continue to support me when there are issues like this? So I don't think technology is the one straight answer to Africa's problem. We need to be thinking beyond that and thinking about community support for education, because if the community were involved in education, parents would be supporting their learners, their children at home at this point, and teachers would be able to support those learners through their parents far more easily than we are trying to do on our own now. I would stop there.
So we should not dream of buying a limousine. And we are not capable of buying a bicycle. Thank you, Dr. Kusha for your input. Any other contribution? Yes, any other contribution?
I don't know if I have the floor.
Okay, I'll give the floor to...
I'm not getting you well.
Sorry?
But I wish I can have the floor.
Yes, could you introduce yourself? You have the floor.
Speaking, I would say that Africa needs interaction between each other. So, before giving them technology and or 21st century, we have to teach and ask them to use WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, Zoom. If we do not teach, we have never taught them how to use them. I don't know how we can cope with it, because we need skills to know how to use this if I can say, methods or skills of learning. So I cannot say a student which have never been capable of to go and begin to watch or interact with somebody through internet. So that's why I just want to
Okay. Thank you for your contribution. Yeah, thank you for your contribution. And yes, as I said earlier in this uh, debate, at the beginning of this debate, I told you that it is the last debate we are having this month, and for sure we're going to resume. But I mean, in due time, we will let you know when we are resuming. But in the coming month, we're going to have an interactive debate here. And for this, I would like to give the floor to Iman, so that he could share with you the idea of June. Iman?
Yes, thank you, Flavian. Well, please stay tuned for our next activities. We have a webinar series coming up, but it hasn't been confirmed yet for June. So once it is confirmed, we will be sure to publicize that. But we are hoping to hold a webinar series in June. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you all for coming this evening. We really appreciate your participation and support, and we look forward to seeing you in our future events. Thank you all. This recording will be available on Africa People YouTube channel. Give us a couple of days, and if you would like to view the recording, please go to Africa TESOL YouTube channel. You can simply Google it, and you will find the recording from this discussion, as well as the recordings from our previous webinars. So far, we have conducted 6 webinars, and we will continue to hold these events. And as I mentioned earlier, please stay tuned for more information about future events. Thank you all. Have a good night and see you in the next event.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Good, it worked.
Thank you, President.